After you watch this, I don't think you're going to look at your backyard bird feeder the same way again. Right now, birds come in, start chowing down, and you get to watch. Probably out the window. But what are they really doing? Every species has its own challenges and its own strategy to address those challenges. And if you watch carefully, you can figure that out. We'll use my yard as an example because it's a much shorter commute than if I come to your yard. This is my yard. I live in a log cabin on a Maine lake. It's late February. The lake is frozen, of course. There are trucks out on the ice. The ice fishermen just drive right out there. My yard is nothing special. I just have 4 feeders hanging out. Suet, of course, because I have a lot of woodpeckers. Hanging platform feeder filled with sunflower seeds. Thistle, or Niger, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, a hanging basket of sunflower seeds. I used to have more feeders, but the bears ate them. I got to get these in by April, or else. Oh, and some of what you're about to see was shot from inside this blind. You know, I bought this blind about 4 years ago in hopes of being able to stage it where ruffed grouse are drumming and get a good video of that. Then I never used it. The doves are a little suspicious, however. They are so vigilant. I've been following these birds for 3 straight days. Why 3 days? Well, first day was snowy. Second day, sunny but windy. And third day, this one, just gorgeous. I don't even have that many species of birds coming to the bird feeder right now. Currently, it's only mourning doves, black-capped chickadees, red-breasted nuthatches, white-breasted nuthatches, tufted titmice, American goldfinches, a couple of dark-eyed juncos, and hairy and downy woodpeckers. Your house is going to have a completely different set of birds. Doesn't matter. Just watch what they're doing because there's a strategy to it. Typically, goldfinches prefer Niger, but they're not really hitting it that much this winter. It's a fresh batch, too. I'm not sure what's going on. There are plenty of pine siskins that stayed in the state this winter and a lot of redpolls that come down, but they have not hit the yard. If they did, this would be a different story. They can go nuts over this. It all comes down to 3 different goals for the birds. Number 1, eat. Number 2, don't be eaten. Number 3, make babies. And frankly, this is late February. They're not much in the mood for making babies yet. Although, I gotta say, the hairy and downy woodpeckers have already paired up, and the tufted titmice have been calling all of a sudden really loudly, and that just started 2 days ago. Goal number 1. All of them hit sunflower seeds, but they hit them differently because of goal number 2. Don't be eaten. All right, let's watch. Chickadees and nuthatches dart in, grab a seed, and dart out. They spend as little time as possible exposed on the feeder. American goldfinches just sit on the feeder and chow down one seed after another. In fact, really all finches do that. So chickadees, nuthatches, and finches are doing completely different things. Why is that? The chickadees, nuthatches, and titmice have bills that are basically multi-use tools. The bills are heavy enough to crack soft seeds in winter, but narrow enough that they can eat insects, spiders, and beetles in summer. Chickadees mostly glean food from underneath leaves and needles. Nuthatches do too, but their bills are even narrower so they can probe bark. It's like chickadees have forceps and nuthatches have chopsticks. About 10 years ago, I bought a laser pointer, and you can use it to indicate where a bird is. Two rules, of course. You don't point it at the bird, and you don't point it near the bird, because that can scare it off. So, what's too near? I took it outside and shown it near a nuthatch, about 10 feet away from where the bird actually was, on this tree here. That nuthatch wasn't scared. That nuthatch thought it was a green beetle and chased it all over the tree like it was a flashlight beam for a cat. And no, I never did that again. So chickadees and nuthatches can pick up a sunflower seed and titmice and crack this soft little bugger open. But they have to pay attention while they're doing it, so they can't for a moment look up and watch for predators. They grab the seed and go back to cover immediately. In fact, quite often they'll come in, they'll perch real close, take a second look around, then pop down and pick up a seed. Now, because they need a seed they can crack easily, sometimes they get picky. They'll pick one up, decide they don't like it, and toss it over the side. They're wasting the food I brought them. On the other hand, the squirrels don't mind. Now, look at what the finches do. Especially this goldfinch. They just sit there and eat as long as they want. As all the other birds come and go, this one just sat there for 10 minutes. Why? Because they have heavier bills. They can pick up any seed and crunch it without even having to look at it. So, when they're eating, their eyes are looking around all the time. It's also the same thing with the juncos. They are basically sparrows, and they have the same heavy bill, so they can crunch seeds easily, and they just sit there in the feeder as long as they want. Now, we'll get back to juncos in a minute. Mourning doves don't bother to crack the seeds at all. They just swallow a whole bunch of them all at once, and then go off and digest them in their gizzards for hours. You may not see them again till mid-morning. So that's what we're seeing. Goal number 1, to eat. Goal number 2, don't be eaten. And that determines the strategy by which they come in and grab a meal. This is what the vigilance is all about. Sharp-shinned hawks, like this one, and Cooper's hawks, like the ones that come in even more often, and merlins, which almost never come in, and especially not in winter, but they nest just down the lake. Now, most of the birds on the feeder stay on the feeder, but some of the birds naturally forage more often on the ground, sparrows and the juncos. They'll feed on the ground, where they are more vulnerable to land-based predators like cats, foxes, weasels, whatever you have locally. Goldfinches like grass and weed seeds, and all these birds that forage on or near the ground are more jumpy about land-based predators. And they are more likely to just disappear the moment you flash into the yard. Often you walk out the door and the chickadees and the nuthatches and the woodpeckers don't even flinch. While I'm talking to you, I'm walking all over my yard. Chickadees, nuthatches, titmice, woodpeckers, they're just coming in right next to me. They are so used to being in the yard, and they are just not really threatened. Mourning doves are mostly ground feeders. And if you walk around the corner into the yard, they're gone in a heartbeat because they have a particular problem. Mourning doves are big enough to be a juicy meal for a raptor, and the doves know it. If a hawk flashes into the yard, it's not going for the goldfinch. It's going for that big juicy bird that tastes a little like chicken. Mourning doves are so vigilant, I think it's the only bird out here that can actually see me through the window. And if I move at all, blue jays scatter the moment I step into the yard. They're also big and tasty, and they don't like surprises. But their idea of eating seeds is to just sit there in the feeder and gulp down 50 at a time or more. They just store them in the crop and go hide them somewhere else. And what really makes me mad is when they do that all fall and then decide they're not going to stay for the winter anyway. They've stashed half of my bird feeder in the woods out here where I guess the mice are going to find it. The blue jays and the doves are actually doing something the smaller birds are also doing. Safety in numbers. Nesting birds separate the world into individual territories during breeding season, and they don't flock up. But come late summer, they start to gather again, and most of them will flock in the winter. There's safety in numbers. What's the safety? Well, more eyes to look for trouble. And more importantly, if you're one bird out there, you're the hawk meal. If there's 100, it may not be you. There's a 99% chance it's going to be Bob. You couldn't have picked a different name. So chickadees will often form small foraging flocks, and nuthatches will often join them, and they just move around the neighborhood foraging. Now, when they circle around and come back to your yard, it's often a wave of birds coming into the feeder all at once. So what happens is you can go a while where there's just nothing at the feeder, and then all of a sudden, in they come. It's all quiet until suddenly it isn't. This is the smartest red squirrel I've ever seen. He actually has to be worried about Cooper's hawks too, so he's tunneling under the snow to get to the feeder without exposing himself. It's whack-a-mole. I've got a lot of squirrels around here, but I've never seen one do this. Every yard is different. Duh. Birds like to stage and scan for trouble before coming in to grab a seed. And this right here, this is their favorite staging area in my yard. This is why I can't thin this out, chop it down, even though these shrubs obscure my view of the lake. It's because the little birds just love to hide in these little branches, scan out for trouble, and then come in. I mean, that's it. That's their favorite spot. Something else to notice about this, and it's subtle. I've got the lake shore right here. Line of trees right here. The birds are not going out there. So the shoreline has kind of a funneling effect. Birds work the neighborhood, come down over here, and they're concentrated right into my yard. Here's a complaint I hear now and then. I just put out feeders, but no birds are coming to it. Well, it may not be the feeder. It may be the fact that there's a lack of a staging area, because the small birds really want that. Birds like finches, pigeons, starlings, they're not so worried about it. They may just come right in. But if you want to get chickadees and nuthatches and goldfinches and all these birds that want to stage and scan for trouble before coming to the feeder, they've got to have a little cover in order to do that. And if you want to add a little more drama and fun into your bird watching, how are the birds interacting with each other where at the feeder? How many mourning doves can sit on the feeder before they start to push each other around? The hairy and downy woodpeckers, they hit the suet pretty hard, but they really don't squabble very much. I mean, if the downy's sitting there, the hairy comes in, the downy will probably move off. Sometimes they'll sit on the suet together and don't look particularly miffed about it. If you want to see some real squabbles, look at the bigger finches. This was at some of the best winter bird feeders in the world. Sac Zim Bog in northern Minnesota. 2-3 years ago I was there, and just amazing to watch the evening grosbeaks and the pine grosbeaks argue things out. Weather has an effect on how the birds are using your yard. When it's a brilliantly sunny day, they may be a little slow coming in because there's plenty of natural food they can get to. If it's windy, they may be reluctant to come in because they're a little nervous about all the moving branches. They don't see the movement of a raptor coming in. And if it's snowy and covering all the natural food, in they come. When you come right down to it, we're sharing the same space. My living room is their pantry. If you've got a heated bird bath, you're running a bird spa. We do get used to each other, and if you respect their need for safety, we can get along pretty well. Some birds will eat right out of your hand. I don't do that because I don't want you to get too tame. Well, Canada jays, they're already tame. Who won't come into the yard so long as I am standing right here? Talking to you, mourning doves. There's a lot of drama going on out here. There's a lot of drama going on at your house. You can be part of that drama. You just have to notice what they're doing and why. Really? You're not worried about me at all? I buy you a little suet and we're friends now? Really?